My name is Courtney Soulsby, and I'm the Global Director for British Standards Institution for the healthcare sector team, looking at the area of antimicrobial resistance and sustainability. In my role, I am in a central function trying to understand the challenges within the healthcare ecosystem related to the theme of sustainability and environment. And our role at BSI is to help set best practice standards, deliver third-party independent verification and assurance that organizations are conforming to those standards. So recently we wrote a standard around wastewater discharge and how you would measure safe concentrations of antibiotics in the surrounding aquatic environment, and also launched an independent certification program where we're assessing antibiotic manufacturers that indeed the products that they are producing and manufacturing are controlled appropriately to limit the concentration of discharge coming from their manufacturing facilities. Antibiotics is really the basis of modern medicine. And if we as a global population develop resistance to antibiotics, it could essentially nullify the ability for clinicians, nurses to prevent or also to treat bacterial infections in us as patients. The antimicrobial resistance topic is one of the top 10 global health challenges for the world right now. And it is paramount that we all work across a number of different areas to counter and mitigate the threat of antimicrobial resistance. The reason I am here is as a part of a delegation with the United Kingdom to look at collaboration areas between the UK and the Indian government from a policy objectives perspective, but also to understand where research and innovation is happening in this area so that we could potentially invest and also fund innovation to help counter the threat of antimicrobial resistance. Personally, my area of focus is related to discharge into the environment and how actually antibiotic chemicals coming from manufacturing and production of these antibiotics in a manufacturing context can actually help contribute to the resistance challenge. So ultimately, if manufacturers are helping to prevent wastewater discharge from their manufacturing sites, then ultimately we can help counter the widespread threat of resistance that can be one of the points of source being from manufacturing discharge. So academics, I believe, are one of the places where we can actually push the next evolution of the countering threat of antimicrobial resistance. So doing cutting-edge research to understand where resistance is happening against which of the antibiotic portfolios, both in human health antibiotics as well as animal health antibiotics. And academia really helps with making sure that their studies and research, like we've heard today at the conclave, are actually researching what and where resistance is happening and against which pathogens or bacteria. I think also academics working with industry is critical. Right now they're fairly siloed, as in the producers and the developers of novel or existing antibiotics are not really closely linked with academia. And I believe that those barriers should be broken down so that academics can be informed in what industry needs to research on. And if there's that stronger connection, we'll probably advance the research much quicker to ultimately much stronger, more tangible results in how we find a solution or multiple solutions towards antimicrobial resistance. My advice is when you're scoping a project or a piece of research is to make sure to do some wider contextual research into what has already been done in this space and how you could do something different. I find that some young researchers are really replicating or changing slightly the scope of some previous research that has been done. And also I would strongly encourage the young researchers to try to engage with some of the practical applications of potential research. So understanding how industry engages in manufacturing, distributing, how clinicians actually prescribe or engage with patients towards treatment or prevention of bacterial infections to make sure that the academic research that you want to embark on is practical and also applicable in a real tangible way rather than a purely academic exercise. That would be my one piece of advice, is try to make sure it's implementable or a practical piece of academic research.